welcome to Market to Table. Today, I'm Nicole and this is Lillian, and we have some great fall recipes for you. I'm gonna start off with peanut butter cookies. It's super simple, and all it is 3 ingredients. I start with the store-made honey roasted peanut butter. I did make 2 batches of it, and I did use Jif, and the Jif just didn't taste as good. It almost burned more easily than the stores, and then the stores, it's a little bit chunkier.
Yes,
so it had a little more texture in the cookie.
I like our store-made peanut
So
butter.
you're gonna.
And we have so many different flavors in it too.
Honey is definitely the one in my house that everybody loves.
Oh yes. But we have a new one, a butterscotch peanut butter.
Oh, David does like that, but I don't like that one.
So I am going to hopefully be doing that one, demonstrating it tomorrow, next week.
Sounds great.
So
we have a cup of peanut butter. We're adding a cup of sugar and just 1 egg. And usually everybody has this in their house. Most people have peanut butter, sugar, and an egg. And you just need to stir it all together.
There?
Yes,
No
so it's gluten-free too.
Very good.
Super simple, great if you have to go to a party that or friends invited you over, great thing to take.
Right, and it's good that it's gluten-free.
So now that it's all incorporated.
Oh, Nicole, that couldn't be any simpler.
No. And you're just gonna roll it up in a small ball and place it on there. And I got almost 2 dozen out of it if you make it small enough. Yeah.
Good.
And then you'll just bake it at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. Definitely go, it says 10 to 12, but start off at 10. You only want the sides like a little bit golden brown.
Right, because sometimes the bottoms will get too dark if you leave it in that
And that's
long.
what happened with the Jif. It cooked faster than this. So, but nobody was complaining. They had 2 batches of peanut butter cookies to eat.
Hey, you can eat peanut butter cookies all the time. Yes.
So
that is really an easy recipe, though. That's
it is. And then all you do is smash them down with a fork. And if it's Christmas holiday, you can add a couple Christmas sprinkles on top to make them a little bit decorative. And just like that. And
then
here's the finished product.
Very nice.
So, super easy, super simple.
That is wonderful.
Thanks.
All right.
Well, now Lillian has a tuna noodle casserole for you.
Okay. And of course, to save time, I pre-cooked the noodles, so I don't know if they're going to be sticky, probably, but that's okay. And what we do is we have the noodles pre-cooked, and while they're cooking, you go ahead and mix together. You have your 2 cans of tuna. And the tuna is drained, and I've already drained the tuna just to save time. Plus, there's no place here to drain the tuna. So the tuna is drained. And this is what you do while the noodles are cooking, is you get the 2 cans of tuna in a bowl. And you don't drop the can in as I did. It's too hard to digest. And of course, if you have a cat or cats, you don't have to worry about what you're doing with the tuna juice, because the cats love that. In fact, they're underfoot as soon as I am making this. So we have the tuna, and we have 1 cup of mayonnaise, and I just use the Miracle Whip. A lot of times people just use the Hellmann's, but I think the Miracle Whip in a baked casserole works just as well. So I just use the Miracle Whip. And I didn't pre-measure it because I didn't want it to get warm on the way in. So we have 1 cup of mayonnaise. We have 1 small onion diced. And I diced it at home. I didn't want people to see me cry on TV. Actually, I cheated, and what I did was I used the frozen onions.
Well, that makes it a lot easier.
Oh, yes. And you just put in a dash of the pepper, and you'll be needing the salt and pepper.
Yes.
Yeah.
My last recipe. Now, is this something you can make ahead of time and then bake later?
Yes. Yes, it is. Just this, you mix, as I said, you get this all mixed up while your noodles are cooking. And after your noodles are cooked, what you do is you mix all of this into your cooked noodles. This is really another very simple recipe. It takes a couple of bowls and you make a mess in the kitchen. You have a good cleanup after it, but that's all right. And this, the kids love to eat. Lick out the bowl if they like tuna. So. And like I said, I don't know. My noodles might be a little sticky since they were pre-cooked, so it might be a little bit harder to mix them. It is. It's hard to get to the bottom. You don't run into this problem with warm noodles, but with the cold ones you do. And once this is all mixed up, all what you do is you get a pan, a 9x13 pan. Thank you. It's so nice to have an extra hand in the kitchen, as I have mayonnaise all over me. And you layer it a lot like lasagna. You layer half of the noodles in the pan. That's about half. You spread it out over the pan. And then you pour in half of stewed tomatoes.
Oh yeah, the vegetable.
Yes, of course, which I already have open. And you use juice and all, or you can also use sliced fresh tomatoes.
Well, I'm sure while it bakes, the juice helps it stay moist instead of dry.
Correct. And the fresh tomatoes are something nice this time of the year out of the garden. But the tomatoes didn't do too well this year.
No, I only got 2. One's ripening on the counter still.
That's it. Then on top of this, now it says just a half a cup of cheese. But since my family likes cheese, we use
Add a little extra.
Well, certainly. You press this down and you just repeat the layers. And then yeah, my noodles did not get mixed all the way through, but that's all right. They'll mix baking.
Well, and your son-in-law will have a good dinner tonight.
Oh, heavens, yes. And when you get done just layering the other layers, you just bake it for like 20 minutes until it's heated all the way through.
Now, will you add tomatoes on top again and then the cheese?
Oh, yes. You add the tomatoes. And you spread them out and around. And you add your cheese. And it's really very simple, a very easy meal. And like I said, in 20 minutes, it's done. And when it is done baking, you have a beautiful looking casserole that looks just like this.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to do the sweet potato casserole.
Yes, this is a staple in our house as the holidays approach. And definitely something I've had since I was a kid. So you're gonna start with 2 cans of yams. You can also use real sweet potatoes, which my sister does. I took the shortcut today.
Well,
These are a little sweeter.
yes.
And so all you do is get them out. And you'll want to mash them just with the bottom of your spoon is fine. If you chose to use real potatoes, you just bake off the sweet potatoes and then peel them and then mash them.
Using the real sweet potatoes.
I guess yams, actually, not sweet
or
potatoes.
yams. It's not quite as soft.
Correct.
Yes. I was trying to think of
You
what.
just add a little more butter and
Well,
sugar.
Well, certainly, which is great.
When I do use the canned yams, I only use half the amount of sugar the recipe calls for because the yams are already sweet from sitting in that syrup. So now that they're mashed, you're gonna add, the recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar. I'm only adding 1 today because I did use the canned yams. And you'll do 2/3 cup of milk. This is very easy to make dairy-free also, just use almond milk. I've used coconut milk in the past and it adds a different flavor. Almond doesn't have that strong flavor as coconut. Today I'm using regular milk. So you'll do 2/3 cup of regular milk. Four eggs. Now my mom, she works in cardiovascular rehab, so she tries to cut it out. And you can use 2 eggs and only 1 stick of butter, but during the holidays, if I'm only making it a couple of times, I think it's all right. But if she makes it, she definitely makes it a little healthier.
Who likes to be healthy?
Then she'll eat a big piece of chocolate cake.
I mean, yes, exactly, and especially at the holidays.
Right.
You know, good.
So then you add a cup of butter, which is 2 sticks. And you want it softened or even melted, but pretty soft. And then all you have is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And you just want to stir that all together. This is the base of the casserole. And then we have a great topping for on top of it. You just want to incorporate it all together. And last night I was making the trial runs, but I didn't want to bake it off until this morning.
Well,
so then my
yes.
son's like, Mom, why can't I have sweet potatoes now? And I'm like, because I don't want to cook it yet. And it needs to look pretty for tomorrow.
Well, that's not nice.
So he's pretty
tempting.
excited to have it tonight for dinner.
And you know what? That's another easy one.
Exactly. I mean,
Yes.
probably 10 minutes of prep and 45 minutes in the oven. It's great to make ahead of time. I always have Thanksgiving at our house, so this is something, if I'm in charge of it, then I make the night before.
You use the nuts on the top?
I do. I have that
Okay.
part next. So Get that all out. You'll want it to be in a 9
Now-
by 13 pan. I do prefer to cook this in glass. I
Well,
feel
yes.
like when you do it in metal, it doesn't. It
Yes,
burns
it do-
easier too.
yeah, I agree.
So you just want it to be even across. And now we're going to start with the topping. You need 5 tablespoons of softened butter.
Oh, just listen to all of those arteries clogging.
But it's only one time of year.
True.
And then you need a 1/2 cup of flour. And I did use gluten-free flour. The
Oh.
Pillsbury all-purpose flour is great. There's no difference between that and regular flour, but
No, there isn't. Other
And-
than the fact that when you make a cake, you have to add a little bit more moisture.
yes.
Yes.
But I don't bake cakes. That's what the bakery's here for. I give them a box.
Shame on you. Your poor family is so.
My mom will bake. My sister bakes.
Oh, well, that's good.
So that was a cup of pecans, and then you need a cup of brown sugar.
I was going to say a lot of people use walnuts, but I use the pecans because, believe it or not, pecans, a lot of people that have an allergy to walnuts and peanuts do not have it to pecans and
Really?
almonds. Yes, I don't know why. Must be something with the oil. That's
But
in them.
my family's always used pecans. I've never even
See.
thought of using walnuts.
Yes.
But that might be a nice try.
It gives it a little bit different flavor. But just to be on the safe side, what I do is I use raisins.
Oh,
It gives it a crunch.
I'm sure it's sweet too.
But yes,
So you just want to use a fork. The fork's the best to cut the butter into the mixture.
oh, well, now see, you should have said something.
Well,
My
that's a
pastry
good tool to
cup.
have.
Yeah. This is so old, but you know what? I love it.
You
That
just want to
looks-
make sure the flour is all mixed. You don't want to bite into a
Yeah,
hunk of
the
flour.
flour. Oh, that looks so good, Nicole.
And then all you need to do is spread it on evenly over the whole top.
See, this is where I cheat and use my hands.
Well, I was going to. And sometimes I add a little bit of extra pecans on top just for that extra crunch
Yes.
once I spread it all across.
And
so-
nothing is better with turkey and cranberries than your sweet potato casserole.
No,
That is
definitely
just
not.
wonderful.
And so then this is what it looks like finished.
We can have a feast here today.
Yes. And this is great for Thanksgiving and Christmases and holiday parties coming up. Super easy and
That's very
Delicious.
good. Yes, it is. Okay,
now she's gonna make some scones.
all right, since this weather is turning cold, and you know you have to have your spot of tea with your scones. Or it goes with hot chocolate also. And really, scones are easy to make, although I myself don't particularly like them. They're too much like a biscuit. It's a hard cookie, but they're good.
They're delicious. We went on vacation one time to the Smoky Mountains, and they had a free breakfast at the lodge we were staying at. And this one lady made homemade raspberry chocolate chip, white chocolate chip
Okay.
scones.
Now,
They were unbelievable.
my recipe called for currants.
Okay.
And believe it or not, currants are very difficult to find.
Really?
Yes, for some reason you just can't find currants. And of course, you do not ask a manager of this store where you can find currants.
Why is that?
Because this particular manager said, oh, I believe Slippery Rock, Connoquenessing, and sometimes Wolf Creek has very strong currents if the weather, if it rains a lot. I thought, really? I am not going to ask for currants again. However, a good friend of mine who shops here all the time said, "Oh, are you looking for currants?" And she brought me in currants.
Well then, perfect.
So I have currants, so I can make my recipe the right way. Okay, it calls for a cup of flour, which I have pre-measured. If I can get the... I hate these. They seal very well. There is my cup of pre-measured flour. Then it calls for 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, which I have pre-measured so that I didn't have to bring in all of the little boxes and the containers for it. So that's done. And I will just mix those a little bit together to get the lumps out of the brown sugar, because brown sugar tends to get lumpy, especially in this type of weather. So that much is done. Then you need to cut in one, oh, that's the wrong bag. You need to cut in 1/3 cup of margarine. And believe it or not, I was really surprised when I looked in the refrigerator. I didn't have any margarine, so I'm using butter, which is basically about the same. And this is why I have my cutter, but the butter is very hard. And you just cut the butter in until it makes like, I should have softened the butter. Oh well, you know what? Fingers were made before the pastry cutter, and so were spoons. So let's see if we can cut it with a spoon. I should have had a fork as you did.
Oh, that worked. I have the fork still.
Oh, I can do it with, I can get the big pieces here, and then I'll use the pastry cutter or my fingers to make it into coarse.
There, it's working better now.
Oh yes, because it's a little bit softer now. This is really very easy to do. I was surprised that there's not that many ingredients in scones. Haven't you ever made scones?
I've never made a scone. I made a blueberry pie. That's my 12-year-old's favorite pie, so.
Very good. You make pumpkin pies, of course.
My mother-in-law does that. I do the turkey, I do the stuffing, the gravy,
And now
usually
you'll
everybody brings something else.
and you'll tell me that it's in a convection oven,
What? The
that you do the turkey.
No, just my regular oven.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you really took shortcuts.
No, I do it traditional.
Okay.
His grandmother came up when I started hosting Thanksgivings probably 15 years ago. She came up and she'd stay over the night and get up with me on Saturday morning, and we'd cook all Saturday. Then she'd be at my house first thing Sunday when we put the turkey in.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, after it looks like coarse chunks in there, then you go ahead and continue on, and you add your oatmeal. You didn't know that you had oatmeal in scones, did you?
I did not.
You have oatmeal. And you use the quick cooking ones. You add your oatmeal, and you add your currants.
Now, would you substitute raisins or no?
Yes. or raspberries or blueberries or whatever really that you want. But the old English recipe
Uses currants.
calls for currants. And I have friends from across the pond who's sent over this cookbook with all of these recipes, and don't you think they're in metric measurements?
It makes the recipe a little more interesting.
Oh yes, and of course, his comment was, well, you taught school. Well,
But I
of
didn't use the
course.
metric unit.
Well, no, and that's it. It's very difficult to switch to metric then. Then you add 2 egg whites and 2 tablespoons of skim milk. And you mix it until it's a sticky dough. And that's all there is to it. And then you just, after it gets to be a sticky dough, you drop it onto a cooking sheet or a baking sheet, and you bake them for 10 to 12 minutes. And when they're done, and again, check after 10 minutes because otherwise they get too brown on the bottom. And this gives you at least 16 good-sized scones. And when you take them out of the oven, there are your scones.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
right.
Now, Nicole has a wonderful salad to top this all off.
I am going to finish with a spinach apple salad. It's a great thing to have a lighter fare on big meals or get-togethers. So you want to start off with a 10-ounce package of just baby spinach. And then we're going to add 3/4 of our Pink Lady apples. I sliced 2 of them very thin. And you want to just save a little bit for the top for garnish so it looks pretty when you first put it out.
That looks so nice. And believe it or not, she didn't have one of the fancy slicers. She sliced every one of those by hand. And look how uniform they are.
I try.
Mine never come out like that.
So
I
then,
have some thick ones and some skinny ones.
then we're going to add 1/2 cup of cranberries. And I'm going to just save a couple again for the top. And you'll toast pecans ahead of time. So I did that earlier.
Yes.
And that is also a 1/2 cup. We'll just add those. I'll save a little bit there again. And goat cheese. And they do call for 2 ounces, but our family loves goat cheese, so I add a little bit extra, but
well, you could use feta.
and you can use feta or any
Right.
other cheese. So, and all I'm going to do is stir this up, just so then everybody gets an equal amount of all the good stuff.
And the spinach, that is a good way to get spinach.
Yes,
And
definitely.
fresh spinach is so very, very good.
So then we're going to move on to the dressing, and we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And then we're going to add brown mustard, and that's 4 teaspoons of that. And then we add 4 teaspoons of pure maple syrup.
Oh.
You want to use the pure for the taste.
Yes.
It's not
It's
as
amazing
thick.
the difference in in maple syrups.
I love ours, the one brand that we get local. It's Old State Farm.
Oh,
so
yes.
I've had that for many years. So 4 tablespoons of the maple syrup. And then I'm going to add, it's a
Great.
tablespoon of minced shallots. So a shallot is a type of
the
onion.
shallots, yes.
And I like using my press. It's actually a garlic press, but it minces the shallot super small, so you're not getting a big chunk
That's
of onion.
right, yes.
I'll add a little bit more.
You could use garlic probably, but it would
Probably.
give it a different
taste.
Yes, yes, I think this, yes.
And then what you'll do is add a little bit of salt and pepper. And then you'll slowly add 3 tablespoons of olive oil to it. So I'm going to start off with 1 and start whisking. Make sure I get all the mustard off the side of the bowl.
That would be even better than honey mustard dressing.
That would be good. It would add a little more sweetness.
Uh-huh.
So I added 2 more tablespoons of the dressed olive oil.
Oh, you are such a healthy cooker.
Everybody was happy. Dave and I ate this for dinner last night. The 2 boys didn't want to eat this.
Well,
And so I called 2 girlfriends and they came over and brought their containers and had their dinner too.
good.
And another great thing would be to add like cold quinoa to this and grilled chicken, and then you have a whole meal.
Yes,
But
that's
or it's
right.
just great for the holidays to have a lighter fare
Well, sure.
to offer.
Along with everything else, that would be an excellent salad to use.
And so you'll just mix that dressing up.
You're hiding all those pretty apples.
Well, when you're the last one to get the salad, you're happy to have those
Well,
apples
yes,
on the bottom.
This is
Right?
true.
It's a little messy. There's a lot of spinach in here. But anyway, so then all you want to do is then go ahead and top it off with the extra cranberries
And your apple slices.
and the sliced apples.
Oh, Nicole, that looks so good. I can't wait for Thanksgiving now.
Me neither. It's probably my favorite holiday and my favorite holiday to host.
You know,
Because
it's-
you're not worried about presents and it's
This
just
is- it
enjoying
is-
time and cooking good food.
it is a wonderful family holiday.
Yes.
Everything else is just so commercialized.
Right. And there you have it. That's your pecan apple salad.
Good. Oh,
All right.
So we have something for everyone today.
Yes, we do.
Very
Well,
good.
I hope your fall goes well, and we'll see you at the market. Thanks.